Alright, how you doing? It's Patrick. We're day 2. Yesterday we completed that epoxy pour of the first set. Now we're back on the job. We're going to do some more polishing and then finish it off. Apologies for the background noise. This is a real job site. We actually have about 8 people working here today, plus me. We have 9 carpenters, plumbers, and painters. So big crew here today. But I really wanted to show you the whole process of what we have going on here. So we use a Dremel, and after that first pour, that first set, there's some bubbles on the table. And what we like the Dremel is because we can get that specifically only hit the epoxy, not the wood around it. If we use a flat disc sander, it's going to get, the point contact's going to get around the wood, and it's going to have a bow around it. But this, we can just hit the epoxy and hit the epoxy only, and then finish it off with a light sand after. So this is the table. As you can see right here, there's some bubbles in it, and we're basically just going to go in there and sand all these off on the table. There's a few spots that needed more epoxy. Yesterday we looked at this one, and over here on this desk where it was nice and full, but now we can see that it's going to need an additional epoxy as the wood absorbed some and it sunk in. So these all came out nice as well. And this nice tinted one is looking really good. So that's what we have going on. Basically all we do here is, you see some of these bubbles are on this side. We're just going to turn this thing on, get it going, and we adjust it a little bit, and we just hit the epoxy. So, as you can see here, we're taking off that bubble, and it's going to come out really nicely. Do a final sand, have it come out perfectly smooth, and that's it. So we're going to do this, tune this all up, and then follow up and do our second pour. Stay tuned. Alright, we just finished off polishing the few spots. Some of them need to be filled still because the wood absorbed the epoxy. As you can see right here, we have the epoxy actually went into the hole, but this one over here, it's nice and filled in. We're going to do a little more polishing to get that color nice and uniform, but it's going to come out wonderful. But overall, it's looking good. So we're going to put one more coat on and get this looking nice. Welcome back. It's Patrick Roberts from Momentous Building, and we have finished the countertop here. It came out extremely beautiful, as you're kind of seeing right in front of me. I'm going to give you a close-up. I just want to recap all the work that had to go in to get this countertop looking like this. So we started off with sanding out the table. We had to plane it. We had to join these wide-face grain boards together, and then that gave us the ability to have this nice countertop that's about 52 inches by 52 inches. From there, we had to continue planing it down. We had to glue it together. We had to bind it to make sure it didn't warp. We got the surface super smooth. And then we chose to fill the knot and holes after we did all the planing. And what we did with that, we used some epoxy. This is a 2-part, one of resin and epoxy hardener. And that allows us to fill these holes, have a super smooth surface, and give this countertop some life again, and that way we don't have to throw out the boards that had these big knot holes and all that. It also allowed us to give some design to the actual, and character to the actual wood, as you're going to see in a second. In the holes that weren't all the way through and that were small, we used a clear epoxy, and that way it brought out the background colors and looks dark, and I'll show you a few examples of that in this countertop. Also in this countertop, there were some holes that were pretty large, about the size of a quarter, maybe even bigger. For those, since they were clean all the way through, we actually used a tint to the epoxy. Now this is a powdered tint. It's not a paint or a color, it's a powder, and this tints the actual epoxy and gives it some color and allows it to blend in and match the walnut countertop we have here. From there, we did all of our sanding work. We prepared the surface, got it nice and smooth. We actually went up to 800 grit sandpaper, got the surface perfect, and then we chose to use a polyurethane top coat on this. Now, instead of using the traditional oils or like a mineral oil or tung oil to prepare the surface to be ready to use like you would use on a traditional cutting board, we went with a polyurethane for a couple reasons. First and foremost, this surface will not be used as a cutting board surface. So some of the mycotoxins in the polyurethane that aren't healthy if you do consume it isn't a problem because food won't be on this surface. It will not be used as a cutting board. We won't have spikes of polyurethane getting in the food. So we chose to go with the polyurethane because it's much more durable. It gives a smoother surface, a little bit better of a sheen, and also it allows, instead of having to say we coat it every 6 months or a year, we can go a couple years, and until the homeowner is still ready or there's enough damage on the surface, then we can re-prepare the surface with a few coats. We actually went up to 5 coats of polyurethane on this, and that gave us this buttery smooth feeling like a hardwood floor, which is awesome, really is awesome. So after those 5 coats, we did a light buffer. We do a light buffer in between each coat to remove any imperfections that come out in the wood. Sometimes the grains pop up a little bit as they absorb the polyurethane. We need to buff those out and get them down. Also, the polyurethane can kind of come out wavy at the beginning, so with some little textures to it. So we buff all those out in between each coat, and then instead of brushing the top coat on, we actually sprayed it on. And this does a little bit of a smoother finish than a brush, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this thing's like glass. So let me show you what we got going on. I'm gonna come around and grab the camera. All right, so if you remember, as you can see, this surface is a nice sheen to it, blends in with the existing kitchen the new kitchen that we put in. There's a desk that we did as well in the walnut and some shelvings. So we have a lot of walnut going on here that really makes it look beautiful. But as you can see, this surface is like glass coming out. Here is one of the epoxy fills that we did, that we use a tinted epoxy. As you can see, it blends right in with the countertop and looks like some of the other grains. Over here we have some pinholes that were in the wood, and we actually used clear here, but because it wasn't clean all the way through, like this one, it blends right into the surface, and it's nice and smooth now. Now this one over here, this was a huge hole, and it's pretty interesting. If you get in the right light, you can see it on the video that the coloring of the epoxy that we use has a little bit of a shine to it, a brown shine to it. We used like a chestnut, and it came out really, really nice where you can see that and give some character to it, some pizzazz, I would say. So overall, this countertop came out beautiful. And when you're stepping back here and you look at this countertop in the back, it really transformed the space. It matches in with these shelves that we have some lighting going underneath, as you can see. That's a light bar going in. And then this desk over here, we have the light over here, and that just has a transformational space to it. So guys, I hope you liked the journey that we had going on through here, getting this countertop prepared. I hope you guys learned a few things, and then also some of the options that you have when designing a space. They really are unlimited, and this is just one example that we can go with. And as you've seen down the course, like we explained, this could have been coated with tung oil or mineral oil, and this would have been a food grade, safe surface to use as a cutting board. And that would be awesome to have this huge thing as a cutting board. It's just, the biggest thing is, does it fit your needs, right? That's the biggest thing that we kind of push when we design spaces is, does it fit you? Because it doesn't matter to us, it doesn't matter to the builders, it doesn't matter to the architect, because we're not living here. You guys are. So, in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this countertop, the homeowners are going to enjoy this countertop, and we will catch you on the next project. Stay tuned, guys.